Okay, with the sweet sounds of Boston's Erin Oak behind us, this is Craic on the Coast, recording live on location at Tinker's Son in Norwell for halfway to St. Patrick's Day. I'm Mike Schilling, your host, and along with us,
I'm Shaun Morgan.
And we would just like to say thank you, first of all, to Tinker's Son and Brian Houlihan for having us on today. This is a great opportunity, and we're going forward. We're going to have some great guests. We'll have Brian himself, along with other special surprises that we won't mention yet. But today we're started off with the new president of the South Shore Irish Heritage Trail, and someone you've heard before on the show, Mr. Greg Shanahan. How you doing, Greg?
Doing well, lads. Thanks for having me on here.
Always a pleasure, Greg. Always a pleasure.
Incredibly exciting day in an amazing setting. I mean, just when you think Tinker's Son couldn't get any better, you're out here outside listening to music, food trucks. You got a full bar outside. I mean, what else could you want on a beautiful day?
Yeah, this is great. I mean, we're sitting here out on September 20th, blue skies, sun, having a Guinness, enjoying ourselves, and we're only halfway to the big day.
That's true. That's very true.
Also put in, we're working. It's a work day.
It's a work day.
That's what I told my better half. I'm going to work, so just...
It's a work day for you guys. I'm getting ready to punch out right after this interview, so I'll be enjoying it while I'm watching you work.
So first, obviously, congratulations are ordered. Greg was voted in as the new president of the South Shore Irish Heritage Trail. Congratulations.
No, thank you very much. It was quite an honor, and I love the work that they've been doing. It's something that I've had my eye on for a long time through our work on the Ancient Order of Hibernians. Both groups work really well together, and they've been going at it since back in 2020, and have really laid a terrific foundation for preserving our roots and our history here on the South Shore. There's so much that goes on in these 9 towns, and the population, the Irish American population, it's one of the only places that's still growing.
Yep.
And I think we need to work very hard to preserve that. And I'm looking forward to leading that effort and to not only continuing the work that we've done, but expanding it out. And in particular, I'm interested in some permanent memorials in addition to the electronic memorials. Before I forget, I'll get yelled at. Check out our website, ssirishtrail.com. You can see all the spots up and down the South Shore, which have been earmarked for a particular interest to the Irish American community, all the way from Weymouth down into Plymouth. So even if you have some time to go out and see it in person, it's certainly worth your effort. But learning about it online can be a lot of fun too. I like the geeky Irish cultural and history stuff. If you're into that, you're going to be into this.
Perfect. So obviously, Greg, we pick up listeners all the time. Just give us a quick run through about what the trail is, where it came from, and what brought you to working with them.
So, I mean, the trail started in 2020, and it's a group primarily out of Scituate, but we have spots up and down the South Shore that we've memorialized. In Weymouth, my hometown, the Stetson Building, which is a preserved factory, a shoe factory, which is now a medical building. And back in the day, back in the 1800s, it was a place where Irish immigrants could get off the boat and find a job right away. We've talked about this on the show in the past, but we also in Weymouth have Jeremiah Quinn's grave, which is really fascinating. A Civil War soldier who was the first person to enter Richmond, Virginia, as the Union troops started defeating the South. And he, came back, and this is where he's buried. But, Hingham has, St. Paul's Cemetery, Kingston, the old burial ground. You can go down over to Hull. My favorite, really, is at the Hull Public Library. It was the old summer cottage of John Boyle O'Reilly, the famous Irish patriot, poet, original editor of the Boston Pilot. So there's a lot to be learned, and you can see all of it here right on the website. But the two key spots for me, the Celtic Cross Monument down in Cohasset. Now you can go down to the Cohasset Cemetery, and it's I think it's 20 feet tall. It's a Celtic cross, and it commemorates on October 7th, 1849, the brig St. John, which was a famine ship was caught in a gale and driven on the Grandpa sledge in Cohasset. And 99 men, women, and children who were fleeing the Great Hunter in Ireland passed. And way back when, our predecessors in the Ancient Order of Hibernians built this unbelievable memorial. So when you see it, not only is it beautiful, but it's very moving to imagine that, back in those days, when frankly, you couldn't be buried in that cemetery as an Irish Catholic.
Right.
They still went out there and rescued these people, gave them safe harbor, and amazing story. And the other one you want to check out over in Scituate Harbor is a stone dedicated to the 1916 Easter Rising, and it has the proclamation printed on the front of it, which Patrick Pearse read out on Easter Sunday. And another beautiful place down here on the South Shore, facing the water. It's just it's well worth the trip, and that's one of the other things. I mean, the trail is not only to preserve our culture and history, it's to create some tourism down here on the South Shore. So if you want to get out, have a beautiful day on the harbor, maybe run across the street to one of any number of restaurants or bars, definitely well worth the trip. And we're trying to expand that out more and more along the entire trail. And while I'm talking about all this, I can't. I'm looking right at Mike Schilling, the father of the Dublin Memorial, who's got his own work going on down there too, that we're looking forward to seeing come to fruition.
Yeah, which should be happening soon. We're actually hoping that we're going to have an unveiling for that in November, so just 2 months away.
Yeah, awesome.
So that's going to be great. We'll have more information on that as it becomes available. Yes. And then with regards to the Cohasset Monument, I would tell everybody that if you want to see that in person and experience the commemoration that goes along with that, we're only 2 weeks away. By the time this episode goes out, it'll only be a week and a half away from down on October 5th down in Cohasset, where we'll have the memorial. We'll have a presentation, which we've spoken about on the podcast, on the In the Midst of Plenty, which is an Irish folk musical set during the Great Hunger. And then we do our usual wreath laying and commemoration at the memorial itself. So that's always a great day.
It's an amazing event every year, and it's something that you have to see to feel. But once you're there, you won't soon forget it. It's been going on for a long time. Michael's taken it to a new level with the Ancient Order of Hibernians, and I look forward to it every year. I mean, it's a physical marker of an important memory of our shared history. But I mean, it honors really truly the biggest sacrifice of all. I mean, these folks gave their life coming here. Not all of them. The ones who didn't created lives for themselves here in the United States, here on the South Shore, and made a massive impact on, whether it's the culture, society, the political culture. It's something we really have a responsibility to mark.
So you just hit, shared history, and obviously Ireland and Massachusetts have such close ties and close shared history that it's just evolving. I mean, the growth of Irish culture and the Irish network on the South Shore is just constantly growing, constantly evolving. How is the Heritage Trail tapping into new Irish blood coming into the South Shore and explaining that shared history? Because again, I've been on the South Shore for 20 years now. I'm still learning about the connections between Ireland and the South Shore.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, it's massively important that we undertake this work. And again, the trail effort has been going on 5 years now, headed up by Brenda O'Connor, the outgoing president, who we can't possibly thank enough for her hard work. Jim Canavan, who was the interim president. There's been a committee working on this for a long time. So we're trying now to reach out to folks, not only on the fundraising level, but on the participation level, just to get more people involved, get more of their opinions and more information on our shared history. Because, as you said, everyone's always learning. I grew up in Weymouth. I've been there 51 years. I didn't know about Jeremiah Burke's grave. I've never heard of it in my life. I drive by that graveyard every night on my way home from the commuter boat. So, these are the ways that when we learn, we grow. When we grow, we share. And that's just going to expand out this trail going forward. But, I mean, with bringing in, to your point, the younger folks and the new blood is massively important, because we want them not only to learn and appreciate but also be people who can carry over this memory. It's time flies, and the people who have this knowledge are going to be gone. That includes me.
Yep.
And we need to be passing this on to the next generation.
And that's it exactly. You said you lived in the area 51 years. I said I've been here for 20 years, but I'm still only in my 20s. So that's just that's what I think until my 16-year-old reminds me that's not the case. But is there any discussion with the Heritage Trail as far as expanding to make stronger connections to Ireland, to the ports where everyone left, like Galway, like Cove, and as far as even just some sort of direct connection there to highlight, when people left Galway and they left the port there and came to Weymouth and came to the South Shore, this was the first spot that they made, and just creating those ties between cultural societies like the Heritage Trail and the cultural societies in Ireland as well.
We're hoping to do that. I mean, Michael and a couple of our members from the AOH recently did the Famine Walk, and the beginning of that walk and that tragic event in history is also the beginning of so many of our own ancestors' historical beginning here in the United States. I mean, this is where they landed. They landed in Boston Harbor. Now, how they found the South Shore, that's something we talk about a lot, and different families have different stories. So for us, I think we talk about connecting that trail in Ireland to that trail here in the United States, here on the South Shore. And we had 2 years ago it was last year, the Brig St. John Memorial. We had that amazing experience of having those bronze shoes that were brought over. And when I think about how we're going to connect back to Ireland, that's what I think about a lot, so that we have people at that event who come from Ireland to that event, and they live in the areas that are still feeling that. So we're going to be doing more and more of that. My immediate vision is a memorial, and Michael and I talk about this all the time in Weymouth, somewhere on the shoreline. I haven't decided where, that actually points towards Boston Harbor, and if you look at it geographically, across Boston Harbor all the way back to Ireland. Mm-hmm. So that's a real-time literal concrete connection to Ireland and to where those original the original diaspora landed here on the South Shore, and then tracing it downward all the way to down all the way to Plymouth.
And there's an opportunity there. I mean, they're talking, the National Famine Way exists, and they've already expanded to a global famine way.
Correct.
They've unveiled spots in Canada that would be, they've unveiled spots in Canada that will be part of that, and they've talked about expanding it down into the United States. So I think there's definitely opportunities there for us to be part of that. And
that would be a dream come true, because I think that railway memorializes in perpetuity, what it is that we're trying to say that this.
Right.
Yeah, but then the next step, getting back to what I said, it's just, the Heritage Trail is not just about the past, it's about the future. And making connections for young people who are coming over from Ireland, whether it be the J1 program or they've emigrated here, they're like myself, they come in, whether it's the K visa or, however you decide to come to the United States, how you make connections to the culture, because they are, you joke, Greg, how they got to Boston and then made their way down the South Shore. Look at today's weather. It says the Irish Riviera, and it is for a reason. Being from Belfast, I joke all the time. People ask me, well, do you get back often? Well, I do, but my family prefer to come out here because, A, you're guaranteed good weather, you're guaranteed summer, and that aspect of the culture that exists here is second to none. I've traveled all over the United States. There are Irish pockets everywhere. We know they're down in New York. We know Philadelphia, Chicago, etc. Even, Cincinnati, huge population there. But there's something special about Boston, something special about the South Shore, and that ties back. Even when you go back home to Ireland and people say, where are you from? Oh, I'm from the Boston area. Oh, of course, you're Irish and you went to the Boston area. It's just that automatic affinity that exists.
Exactly. No, it's important, and we want that connection, because one of the things that makes the South Shore, in my view, special, and what we call it the Irish Riviera, and we're not joking. It really is. There's that shared culture, that shared connection, that we all, so many of us have with one another, and we want that to continue. So making people comfortable about staying here and raising a family and making their future is also important too. And that's a lot about placemaking and having these memorials that people could come here and say, oh, I can identify with this. I want to stay here. I understand that this is part of your culture, but guess what? It's part of mine, and I brought it all the way over the Atlantic Ocean. Hopefully sharing in that and helping that grow and continue forever. Because, I mean, look, these are hard memories in a lot of ways about, the genesis of, the Irish diaspora for here. But it's also stories of victory. It's also stories of, incredible determination and success. And that's what we celebrate as well. You want to honor that memory, but you also want to celebrate the impact that Irish Americans have had, not only on the South Shore, but, across the United States. Yeah. We were talking about Boyle earlier. I mean, his impact wasn't just on the Boston area, it was worldwide.
Yeah.
Right.
And, he just happened to settle here, and, we're connecting that.
Yeah.
So.
But even, the reverse impact, I mean, I'll put, reflecting on back home, there wouldn't have been a peace process back home if it wasn't for Irish America, and if it wasn't for Boston Irish. If Tip O'Neill hadn't been in the position he was in, if Marty Meehan hadn't been in the position that he was in, Senator George Mitchell, that Irish American diaspora that existed, we never would have had a peace processing in place, and that creates the ties closer. And now we jump forward, it's 2025. Ireland is in a different light. I mean, Ireland, depending on which statistic you look at, is either 8th or 6th biggest investor into the United States as far as foreign trade.
Right.
And that just shows the impact that Ireland has on US economy, on US business, and vice versa. It's not just Ireland relying on handouts or travel from the United States coming back to Ireland. It's reversed now as well, and we're tied closely together. And again, it's easier to get to Ireland from Boston than it is to say get to even California.
Yeah,
absolutely. No, it's certainly more and more, and God willing, this continues. I mean, it's more now of a partnership between the United States and Ireland. It's a two-way street, and not only in the business sector, but culturally. You have groups like the Irish Cultural Center, and they're always growing, and so many of the groups here in Boston, they're always growing. And somebody who might have, great, you have an Irish surname. That doesn't make you unique here on the South Shore, but when you want to latch on and learn more about that, there's so many opportunities, whether it's here or groups back in Ireland, and it's so important that we nurture that and continue to share too, because the separation and experience kind of ends in opportunities like this when we're talking about our share. I say it all the time, our shared history. And I don't mean Irish American shared history or the South Shore shared history. I'm talking about the worldwide shared history between us, between the Irish diaspora, not only in America, but if you think about it, it's Australia, New Zealand, England. I mean, these are all similar stories. There wasn't anywhere in the world where the Irish immigrated that they didn't have as big an impact as they've had here on the South Shore. It's just that it's our responsibility to celebrate that, memorialize that, and honor that here.
That's a great mission by the South Shore Irish Heritage Trail.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm honored. I'm honored to be a part of it, and I can't thank the gang enough for. They adopted the kid from Weymouth, and we're going to expand it out from there. So the experience has been great so far. It's only been a week. So
well, and it wasn't just because your name's Shanahan. We'll just put that out there. It did help, but
I talk about how handy that name has come in my life all the time. And
well, Greg, it's all right. I just joke all the time. Mike only brought me in because I have an accent. There's no other reason I'm on this podcast. So
it's probably more so because I can actually.
Finish your thought.
Yeah,
go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was gonna. I can tolerate.
We can bleep it out later.
Yeah,
it's all right.
I can tolerate it. That's good stuff, and I'm excited to see where the South Shore Irish Heritage Trail is going to go.
No, I'm excited.
There's a lot of potential there.
No, there's great potential, and there's a lot of. The existing partnership with the AOH is amazing. We couldn't do any of it. I wouldn't want to forget to thank the Irish government for their incredible their incredible support. From the Consul General's office, we were just here not long ago honoring Brenda O'Connell, and wasn't Sheila Fitzgerald the Consul General for
the Department of Foreign Affairs, and Sheila
here
do
today.
an amazing job.
Yeah, just incredible, and their grant support, and you couldn't. That's what I talk about that's what I mean when I talk about partnerships. And they're there, and we're going to expand those out too. So.
And that's a big part for the Consul General's office. They love partnerships and collaborations.
Yeah.
So situations like where the South Shore Irish Heritage Trail, along with the Ancient Order of Hibernians, get together and put together events and promotion of things like the Brig St. John. That's a big deal for them.
Yep. It's a fact. There's no diaspora in the United States. There's no country of origin in the United States that spends more on their diaspora than Ireland.
No.
And it's if you think about it, it's certainly not the biggest country in the world, but
small country that punches well above its weight
all the time.
And getting back to that as a shared history, recognizing the diaspora has such and always has had such a strong impact. I would, if we're going to make equivalencies, Massachusetts and another diaspora would be Cape Verdean, and the Cape Verdean societies, Cape Verdean culture have strong ties with Irish culture as well, and how they give back to their homeland on how Irish history did the same thing.
Yep.
It's just Ireland's 150 years ahead of that.
Exactly. Just tonight I'm going to the Halfway to St. Patrick's Day event down in Scituate, but it's the Sister City event, and it's not only Ireland, it's Cape Verde, and it's also France. And they all work together, and we were just selling tickets, or raffle tickets, not long ago, which is my part-time job, as everyone who knows me knows, selling raffle tickets. But
so we'll just put a plug there. If you're looking for any fundraising advice and fundraising support, just reach out to Greg. We'll put his email, his phone number, his address in at the end of the notes.
Yeah. Just I don't know that there's anyone who doesn't already have that. But, if you want to share it, feel free. But speaking of fundraising, great segue. If you want to donate to the Irish Heritage Trail here on the South Shore, you can visit our website, ssirishtrail.com. There's a place to donate electronically, and we're looking to ramp up our fundraising over the next 4 quarters so that we have money to begin to memorialize some of these spaces in a much more permanent way. But it's also expensive too. We have a website, which check it out. You could spend a whole day on it. It's incredibly well designed. It's very, very accessible. But we also have social media, so Facebook and Instagram, great sites too. We're looking to expand those out as well. And we were incredibly lucky. We just brought on the talented Siobhan Hunter, who's going to be administrating and running a lot of these things. So we actually have some help from and the only way we were able to do that was help from the Irish government. So.
And I won't go into details because I don't know all of them yet, but you guys are also going to be unveiling a couple of different opportunities that people can get involved, both financially, but then also feel like they're going to be part of the trail itself.
Absolutely. To that, I would say stay tuned. Again, I've only been at this a week, but we're definitely going to be having a lot more opportunities to participate, to get involved in the planning, to get involved in the broader discussion, to become, really. To create some permanency in people's involvements, not only on the individual level, but the family level and the business level. Because, let's face it, a lot of people have done very well here in the United States, but particularly here on the South Shore, who share our common ancestry. And we're going to be looking for a lot of help and a lot of involvement from all levels.
Okay, that's unbelievable. I'm very excited about what the prospects are for the trail, and I'm glad to hear that you're at the helm.
Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate you guys having me as usual. I like being a guest more than I like hosting, so I'm glad you were both able to be here today.
That's all right. So you just tag in whenever I slip out of the country, so that's it.
When it's Michael and myself, we're missing that nice brogue. And,
honestly, I don't think I ever hear anyone say Belfast accent's a nice brogue, but I take it.
I enjoy it.
Okay, welcome back, Craic on the Coast. We're here recording live from Tinker's Son in Norwell. for the halfway to St. Patrick's Day, and here with probably our most prominent guest of the day, which is the man responsible for everything and owner of not just Tinker Son in Norwell, but several other establishments, the Parrot and Hull, Trident, Beer, Brian Houlihan. Thank you for coming on, Brian.
Oh, thank you, Mike. If I'm the most prominent guy, that doesn't say much for the rest of your guests today, but whatever. I'll take it.
And just to put that in perspective, our previous guest, who is now a guest host, is Greg Shanahan. So there you go, Greg.
Thanks for having me, Mike. I was trying not to take that personally, but knowing Brian, I just took it in stride and believed it.
There you go. So I would say probably the biggest thing that people probably would want to know is the man who owns all these establishments, labeled as the best chef on the South Shore for this year by South Shore Home and Lifestyle.
Thank you.
Every superhero has an origin story. What's yours?
We have to go back to the days of kryptonite and everything else. No, I was at home. I'm from Ballincollig, County Cork, and I was at home. School wasn't for me, let's just say that. I wasn't the guy who wanted to go to school, didn't want to go on to do my leaving. So after my inter, I wanted to get out of school as quickly as I could. Tried to get into my dad's business, my family business, which was my dad had a spray painting business called Houlihan Brothers. And I said, all right, Dad, I'm ready. I'm out of school. I'm ready to go. And he said, no, you're not. Get back to school. And I still didn't want to. So in order to get out of going to school every day, I had to find something else to do. So I started knocking on doors of hotels and restaurants around Ballincollig. Got some experience to get into the School of Commerce in Cork City, where I did my first year kind of like introduction to hotel and restaurants.
Okay.
I did that for a year. That got me enough experience to get into the Regional Technical Cork at that time, which is now called CIT, I think, in Cork. And I did 2 years professional cookery there and came over here when I was 18.
Oh, wow, 18?
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
I came over when I was 18 because I got a green card. And I went back home, finished out my work experience in Glenby and the Towers.
Yep.
I came back officially at 19.
Gotcha. And when you came over at 18, did you have something lined up, or was it just come over and see what
No, nothing.
happens?
I had a sister living over here. She was over here a few years ahead of me. So I basically came over to check it out and look around. She had just had a kid, so I wanted to come over and say hi. And
where was she? Where was she at?
Walpole.
Okay.
So I didn't plan on staying over here that long. I just came over to check it out. All my buddies from cooking school, that's kind of the thing when you're done cooking. Not only back in the day in Ireland, obviously a lot of us emigrated. The other thing was cooks and chefs wanted to go and get an experience in other countries. So a few of my buddies are going to Germany and France and Italy and England, and I said I'll come to America because I had a green card. And here I am still.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you come over, you decide you're going to stay.
Yeah.
Obviously, you didn't open Tinkers or anything right away. Where did you end up, like?
My first job was in the Harvard Club of Boston.
Oh, wow.
On Com Ave, yeah.
Okay.
I went in there, got a job. I came in with a big thick resume, or curriculum vitae as we would call them, right? And pages long. That's the way you're told in Ireland to sort of promote yourself. You learned later on that they want the least amount of information as possible, but big curriculum vitae. A guy reading it in the Harvard Club, his name was Michael Gallagher. He was from Killybegs.
Huh.
And he was about 10 years older than me, I suppose. So if I was 19, he was 29. He was the chef there. He saw my CV. He says, I wouldn't have looked at this if it was anybody else, but if you went to the CERT program in Cork, you must be all right. And give me my first break there. I was there for a couple of years, then I got into the Four Seasons. I was in the Four Seasons in Boston for a few years. Then I had my first son and we moved down to Rhode Island for a quick year to open a place called Matt Malloy's in Warwick, West Warwick.
Yeah.
I opened that up for him. Then wanted to get back to the city. So came back to the city, started as the sous chef in the Bostonian Hotel. I took the executive sous chef's job about a month later. And about a month after that, I was the executive chef. And I was there for 6 years before I opened up Beer, Cohasset.
So we're not when we're sitting here, we're not sitting here with a bar owner. We're sitting here with a real chef.
Yeah, I never even worked in a bar before Tinkers. Yeah, it was all my training at home and all my training up to coming to America, and even actually before I opened Tinkers was high end, because Bia was a little more high end as well. And I when I was down here in the South Shore, I thought that I needed something a little more family friendly.
Sure.
That was the first time I opened a bar, which was Tinks, and then had to learn how to pour a pint. So I worked the bar every Wednesday night for the first year.
Wow.
So I'd be able to get a knack of working behind a bar.
Gotcha. So what? So you talk about like a family friendly. Was there anything else between, for anyone that hasn't been to Bia, it really is. It's an upscale dining experience. It really is amazing when you go there and you sit down. Tinks is very different, but it's definitely more of what people would expect as an Irish pub feel.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is that what you were going for?
Oh, 100%, yeah, 100%. Like we did, again, Bia is kind of like what you get in a restaurant in Ireland, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like a higher end restaurant, more French style. That was the way I got trained. But because of my heritage and because of, I think, the need down here for a couple of good Irish pubs.
Sure.
Real Irish pubs.
Yeah.
There was a few Irish American at the time. Well, like, we've been here 15 years now. And even since then, there's a lot more. But 15 years ago, there wasn't that many down here in the South Shore. So I said we'd give people show them we can cook more than corned beef and cabbage.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for anyone that hasn't been here, I mean, you're right. Like, the menu isn't just stereotypical pub food. There's a lot more here, too.
Right.
Yeah, so which is great.
And
That's awesome.
all of it is incredible, by the way. You can't
no
go
matter
wrong
where you
when
go.
you
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the pubs are like at home, and people don't get that. You see, because the pubs in America are very much, frozen food, this and that. But at home, you get some of the best meals in Ireland. You'll find them in pubs.
Sure.
And they're, everything's made from scratch, and you use what's local, and that's kind of what we try to do here.
Yeah, and I would say that's a big deal. That's something that I think a lot of people don't understand when they go to Ireland, is how advanced the culinary experience is there. And if you go for it and you look for it, you can find, I mean, seafood especially.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
I did the West Cork Food Festival a couple of years ago, with involving the Situate Sister City thing there that we have got going on, and they sent me over to the West Cork Food Festival, and I took over two different restaurants in West Cork, one in Bantry and one in Skibbereen, and we were able to do 6-course tasting menus and supply all the food from within 5 miles of the actual restaurant itself. I didn't take any product that needed to travel more than 5 miles. It was pretty amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, how do you try to mimic that situation here? And I know definitely with regards to Bia, Galley in Situate, Parrot over in Hull, you're everything that you guys put on social media right now, a lot of it has to do with sourcing locally food.
Absolutely. Yeah. We actually just finished up, we're working on a reel right now that we started last week. And again, the same thing, was a dish I produced for Bia that we're going to be featuring next week, actually. And again, every ingredient on the plate was within 3 miles of Situate.
Wow.
Scallops came from Miss Emily in Situate. The lobsters came from my buddy Tucker right off his boat. Shiitake mushrooms came from Maguire Mushroom Farm in Hingham. The samphire grows right across from my house in Hull. The lemongrass and the tomatoes I grew right in my own garden. So that's a dish that we're going to be featuring next week. But I like to do that stuff here as well. Obviously, we're spoiled down here in the South Shore when it comes to seafood.
Sure.
But there's more and more stuff popping up, like mushroom farms and like this and that we get to work with too. So
that's great.
I'm doing a benefit next week for Holly Hill Organic Farm in Cohasset. We work with them a lot. We use a lot of their produce. So there is stuff around if you look for it.
Sure. Now, for anyone who hasn't been to all locations, what would you say is the biggest difference, not just tone or theme wise, but also like culinary wise, with regards to whether it's Tinks or Bia or Galley or the Parrot? If there's like distinctive differences between
there's quite distinct differences. I think we use the quality ingredients everywhere, which is the number one thing. it's like obviously Tinkers is more of an Irish setting, so it's more comfort style.
Yeah.
You know, portions are probably a little bigger, and you know there's more like comfort food, whereas Bia is a little more refined, I guess. You know, you eat more courses. You know, you get 3 or 4 or 5 courses, whereas here you get your entree and your dessert or your appetizer, and then Galley has got a little bit of Latin influence.
Which I love, by the way. I mean,
That started as a raw bar and small plates, but I got great people working for me from all over the world, and just, you know, I went over to Tequila, Mexico a couple of years ago brought some of my staff over, and we made our own tequila over there, worked in some Latin kitchens over there, now we make on our own tortillas and this and that. So I remember bringing the tortillas and showing the girls down in Galley how to make them. I'm like, this is how I want them, you know. And I made 5 of them, and 3 minutes later they were knocking out 50 of them to my 5, so it didn't take them long to catch on. But no, that's a good place for that. Trident again is probably a little bit more refined, small plates and raw bar. And then the Parish, due to the size, it's 400 seats right in the beach in Hull, so we have to we're making that more beach foodie, right?
Sure.
Kind of like you have to be able to feed people when they come in off the beach. Lots of tacos, lots of hamburgers, lots of this, lots of that. Just sort of to give people what they want when they're in the area.
Yeah.
Brian, how do you keep things fresh? It seems like all of these restaurants you always have a new idea, something great and new on the menu. How do you keep it all straight? There's so many of them, and it's always so fantastic.
Some people call it ADD, I guess, but it's about you have to stay on top of the trends, you know, like everything else. I still enjoy doing what I'm doing, even though I've been doing it basically my whole life. And you know, competition is good. When you see competition opening up, you want to rise to that as well.
Sure.
So it's always good to keep it fresh,
Sure.
and keep it interesting. Not only for me, but for the staff and for the customers.
Yep. And, you know, obviously based on the theme of our podcast, how does your heritage and how does your lineage to Ireland inspire that?
Well, basically, as I tell people, I think we were on Best of South Shore. I got Best Chef. Things got Best Irish Pub. Keep it up. Do it again next year, everybody, when you're voting. I think since they've started our publication, we've never missed a year. So, but Bia was in there for, I think, Best Farm to Table, and my quote in there was, you know, we were doing farm to table before it was cool.
Yeah.
You know, coming over here as a chef, and especially dealing with American guys and, you know, American chefs that don't actually know where the food comes from or where the food is sourced, or how to prepare food from scratch, blows my mind, because my training was, that's how we learn. You start at the base and you move on. I remember working in the Arbutus Lodge in Cork City, and we had a Michelin star chef there, and I was a child, not much older than your son behind us, and turned around and, you know, we'd go in there and we'd work lunch or breakfast. We'd have a couple hours off in the afternoon, and then all the guys, the dishwashers and the garde manger guys, they go hunting in the afternoon. They go out and get the rabbits, and they go out and get the squab and everything else, and bring them in, and we'll prepare them for that evening. That's what we did.
Yeah.
That's how we learned how to cook. The food came from the gardens, so we know where our stuff is sourced from. And for me, it discredits everything if we don't continue to do that, right?
Sure.
It's like, I don't understand how people open restaurants and buy prepared food. You know, it doesn't matter, even if I'm cooking shepherd's pie, which is basically the most basic Irish dish you can cook, we're still braising our own short ribs for it. We're braising our own lamb shank for it. We're making our own mashed potatoes. You know, we're doing the stuff that I think is important, because I couldn't understand how somebody opens a restaurant and just opens a bag and serves something from the freezer.
Yeah.
It takes it away. I understand it's some people consider it a business. I consider it more than a business.
Well, that's awesome.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
it really, to be that committed to it, that just shows you with regards to quality and what your passion is.
Yeah.
Which is great. That's awesome.
Brian, what trends do you see on the horizon in the restaurant business? Anything you want to reveal to us tonight on the show?
I just came back from Vegas. One of my companies sent me down to Vegas to go down to a food show down there. and it's crazy. Technology is becoming a huge thing. It always has been. It's hard for us to keep up, and maybe taking away from restaurants. Like they're going, you know, what I'm saying, they're going to robots cooking. They're going to the technology is literally out of this world, and it's rising too far. Prepared products to save because the labor costs are going up so high. It's hard to get now immigrants to work as well. It's a shame. Service is going out the window. I think what we'll see in the future is, you know, there'll be a distinction between restaurants, whereas now you get a full range of restaurants. I think it's going to go to, you know, fast service kind of, you know, people serving frozen food, and then nothing in the middle, and then super high end.
Oh, okay.
Because that'll always be around, right? That's always going to be around, the people who can cook and the people who want to go out and eat really well. But they're going to have to pay for that first of all. And the middle of the road people are going to get cut out because the way the future is going, I think everything's getting processed too much, basically.
A lot of automation and
a lot of automation for everything. The cooking, the packaging, the freezing of stuff. It's getting crazy. It's getting crazy. And for operators that aren't trained like I was my whole life, or not everyone has to be into it as much as I am, right? But it's a lot easier for them to operate the way they want to operate.
Well, I would say that's what you're talking about, like the farm to table. I think that's what's elevated, not necessarily what the culinary experience is in Ireland, but what it's portrayed as. You know, for a while, I think people just went there and they figured it was just, you know, meat and potatoes and that's it. And when you go there, it's if you, again, you look for it, it's a much different experience.
I remember coming over here and as an Irish chef, and, you know, everyone you try to introduce you, oh, I'm Brian, I'm a chef. Oh, you're a chef from Ireland. Oh, Ireland's food is horrible. But that's what we heard for years and years and years and years. And you turn around, you're like, I never worked in a place that served bad food my whole life. And you know what? There's bad food in every country. You just got to be able to find the good stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So what's? I mean, I know Greg brought it up. What's in store going forward? Not even necessarily in store, but how's your schedule going forward from now? Here we sit, September 20th, halfway to St. Patrick's Day. Great weather, great crowd for an Irish pub. What should people look forward to going into the fall, which is definitely that time of year that people feel like they're more drawn to a pub feel?
Absolutely. When September, October hits here, our season comes back in.
Yeah.
Our two slowest months of the year are July and August because we're pretty close to the coast down here.
Yep.
As coast on the Craic knows, Craic on the coast knows. But so it's, you know, and we've got restaurants scattered all over. So, but even though this year was actually pretty busy all summer, but once September, October kicks in, we're back to business, and we'll go right through till, you know, March, of course.
And one thing that we've talked on the show with different musicians who've been on is how important not just the culinary experience is for a pub feel, but the music experience. You guys have two days out of the week you have a session, Wednesday nights and for brunch on Sundays.
Yeah. We got music 6-7 days a week now.
Yeah.
We're back to that schedule. You know, I've always loved music, but if you don't know, if you've never heard, you weren't here in the past, this place used to be owned by Steven Tyler and Joe Perry from Mount Blue.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So always this was called Mount Blue for years.
That's right.
You never knew that? And had a huge music heritage. So when we opened up, we decided it was important for us to kind of continue the music heritage, but again, include a lot of Irish stuff. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I would just like to say, thanks, Brian, for having us here. Our first on-location recording for Craic on the Coast.
Yes.
I'm glad that we were able to have you on. I think a lot of people are always interested about, like I said, the origin stories of people that they see all the time, or at least see, and they frequent the establishments, but they might not know the history behind it. I think that when people know the history, then they're drawn even more.
Right.
So I'm just glad you came on today. This is great.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Much appreciated.
No
We love
problem.
what you guys. We work with you guys a lot, and appreciate all your patronage.
We appreciate you, and just to everybody listening, if you've never been here, come down to Tinker's Son. Check out all the restaurants we spoke about this evening. You will never be disappointed.
No, not at all. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, here we are again at halfway to St. Pat's at Tinks in Norwell. We've had a lot of guests on, but not as many that would consider themselves more of a professional than Mike Reardon, Guinness Ambassador. If anyone's listened to the show, they would have heard our episode with Mike earlier, several episodes ago, about everything Guinness, and he's here today at the Tinks in Norwell, and we'd like to welcome be on it again on Craic on the Coast. Welcome back, Mike.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be a return guest.
There you go.
I guess that means I didn't mess up too much last time.
No,
right?
not at all.
We never would have had your back if you did.
Yeah, exactly.
So we were having a discussion before recording. We record today halfway at Tinks on September 20th. You've had a busy couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time of year where there's a lot of Irish festivals. So we did the Lowell Irish Fest. We had a Perfect Pint competition up there. We're at Sejoun in Boston, the Music Fest. We have the Worcester Irish Fest coming up. We're here at Tinks for halfway to St. Patrick's Day, which, by the way, it's amazing that this has become like a second holiday. You know, like how many holidays are there that we celebrate twice a year?
Right.
You know?
Greg and I were
just talking about that
earlier in the day about how I don't know if it's because the weather tends to be more cooperative, but halfway has turned into just as big of a day as St. Patrick's Day itself.
It really has, and the fun thing about halfway, I think, is it's. I mean, we have some Irish step dancing going on right now.
Yep.
We had some trad music earlier. We have some fantastic food. It's become, a cultural touchstone, where it's not just about going out to the pub and the parades,
right?
But it's more about getting in touch with your Irish roots and enjoying the Irish culture, which I think is fantastic.
And we're really looking forward. I know as much as you. Like today has been great, and then it just kind of rolls along into October at the Worcester Irish Festival. We're going to be there. Mm-hmm. They've been really gracious to invite us to come along. You're going to be there.
Yeah, maybe I'll come over and bother you a little
There
bit.
you go, yeah. And then a mutual acquaintance, someone else who's also been on the show, Davey Holden's going to be there, which I think is great.
Yes.
So it's, like you said, it's not just more about necessarily pub culture, but overall Irish culture that really is absorbing everything.
Yeah, so I met Davey a year ago at the first Worcester Irish Festival. And I had already followed him on Instagram and really impressed by what he does. And I was giving a Guinness history lecture. I call it the History of Guinness Abridged. 265 minutes in 265 years in 45 minutes. And Davey watched some of that lecture, and I'd never been more nervous than to have him, the actual historian, in the crowd watching my history lecture. But yeah, he's a great guy, and I loved the episode that you guys did with him. That was fantastic.
Thanks. And he's so young. I mean, for someone of that age to be so enthralled with Irish history and sharing that with the entire world. Yeah. I mean, it's really great stuff. And then he has a lot of, I will say this, he has a lot of confidence about him. I mean, he talks about the amount of research that he does and how it's kind of like a duck swimming on water. It looks really calm up above, but below, the feet are just rapidly going because he does so much to get prepared for it.
Which is what you're looking for someone who's going to present history like that. And I like how he had mentioned to you guys, that it's just the facts. He's not giving you his opinion.
Right.
It's just the facts. I think we need more of that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And then we'll make up our minds on the back end.
Right.
which is how it should be. But I think that was one of the best episodes I wasn't on it, but that was one of the best episodes you've ever had.
Yeah, no, he was great, and I'm really looking forward to Worcester. They're their third year in, and I think they keep growing, and they seem really passionate about what they're doing and what they're bringing to the city of Worcester. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great group
awesome.
of people, and it's a really fun festival. And I mean, I've been talking to you for 2 minutes. I haven't mentioned Guinness yet. We'll be there, and Guinness will be there pouring Guinness as well. And so hopefully everyone can enjoy a pint responsibly and just have a great time.
That's great.
Yeah.
So speaking of Guinness, like we were saying, your time has been busy. You were talking about, before we started recording, you've been up to Saratoga, you've been to Lowell, everything. So is there anything going into the fall coming out of the Baltimore brewery or the Chicago brewery that anyone should be aware of?
Yeah, I mean, well, right now in Baltimore, they're doing their annual Oktoberfest.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is a lot of fun because, obviously our brewery has Irish roots, but the brewery in Baltimore, which we call the Open Gate Brewery, they brew all new beer for that tap room. So they're not beholden to like our core stouts. In fact, they don't brew any of the core beers. That's all still from St. James Gate in Dublin. But because of that, they get to be really creative, and they make some fantastic European lagers. So they make some great lagers for this time of year. If you're around or you're able to get down there, they have a big fest tent out on the lawn, and you can go out and have some Zeitels/Steins of some fantastic German and Czech style lagers. It's actually some of my favorite beers that they make all year long, because I obviously lean towards stouts and porters and kind of the malt side of life, but my second favorite kind of category of beers are those traditional European continental lagers. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great that there's that breadth of options, other than just Guinness.
Yeah, I mean, if you've been brewing beer for 265 years, you learn a thing or two about, all styles. One of the things, though, that I really enjoy about kind of the European ethos or style behind brewing, which is kind of changing now, but it's always been very traditional in the sense that certain locations would brew a certain style of beer, like Pilsner from Pilsen, right? So these breweries really narrowed in on how to master that single style, and I think Guinness did that for stouts and porters. They really are the go-to, the preeminent stout and porter on planet Earth. And it's just from years of honing that skill and refining those recipes to the point where we are, today.
Yeah.
I like how he said that.
Oh my God!
A
He
planet,
is like,
a
when
planet
it comes
Earth.
to beer, Mike is the most linguistic person I've ever met. It's amazing. And I would just say,
I drink the best beer on planet Earth.
And I would just like to say, I don't know if anyone else took your advice, but I definitely took my advice. Guinness was my summer beer.
Great.
And oysters were something that if it was on like a preview menu, like an app menu, I took advantage of it. And everything you said was correct.
I love it.
The brininess of the oyster and how it pairs with the Guinness.
Yeah.
It was good stuff all summer long.
Well, good news for you. I think going into the fall, one of the things that I focus on is kind of the culinary aspects of Guinness, because now we're getting into like where people are looking more towards like those hearty meals, holiday meals and stuff like that. So there's a lot more to explore. But oysters right now only get better, because the colder the water gets, the better the oysters get. So oysters produce this thing called glycogen, which is basically like antifreeze. It keeps them from freezing up inside in the cold waters of New England. But it's sugar based, so the oyster gets more plump and more sweet. So these fall and winter months are actually the best time of year to eat oysters. And the pairing with Guinness only gets better because that sweetness pairs so well with the malt. And the dryness of the beer kind of extends that dry finish with the salinity of the oyster. In fact, I know you were just talking to Brian. We did with some of his other restaurants, so Galley Kitchen and the Parrot and things like that. We did a Guinness and oyster pairing menu last year, where we did oysters 4 ways. So we had raw oysters, we had oysters Rockefeller, we had grilled oysters, we had baked stuffed oysters, and it was just an amazing menu to explore that one pairing in 4 or 5 different ways. So yeah, the beer and food thing, this is the time of year to really, for me, do a deep dive.
Sure. Now, that's fantastic. Now, for people who seafood might not be their thing. We're going into October, going into the fall. What would you be like your big recommendation? Like, you come to Tinker's in the middle of October, November, and you know you're going to be drinking Guinness.
Right.
What are you ordering along with that?
Well, I know that you just said that for people who like seafood might not be their thing, but I do really want to highly recommend their Smittix mussels. I do really want to highly recommend those because they're delicious. But this time of year, I mean, right now it's probably like 80 degrees outside, but we're all trying to push fall. We want it to be here, and I think it's stew season, right?
Yeah.
So obviously Guinness beef stew, traditional Irish cuisine. And the reason why that works so well is because root vegetables, again, very sweet but earthy. So the sweetness can pair up with those caramel chocolate notes in the beer, and the earthiness can pair against, some more of those darker notes. So when you think like roasted coffee, when you think a little bit of char, a little bit of smoke that you get off some of the Guinness varieties, that's always a perfect pairing. So anything with root vegetables is fantastic. I'm a big fan of Irish curry, so just a plate of curry chips or curry fries is also just a great, easy way.
Unbeatable, in my opinion.
Right. Right.
If you didn't say that, I was going to say it.
Yeah.
Well, and Mike's talking about like the preparation and everything. We've always used Guinness as like a base for steak tips. Something like that. Let it sit there, let it brine, and then cook those off in the char and the caramelization
exactly
that you get from something like that.
It's called the Maillard effect, the non-enzymatic browning. It's the same biochemical process that happens when we roast our barley. So anything off the grill like that. So if you grill or you braise, you're going to get that same kind of flavor profile harmony. And honestly, keep it simple. I always say to people, we do a fantastic annual beer dinner here at Tinker's. I do beer dinners all over the Northeast. And we put together these amazing 5-course meals. And people come and enjoy them, and sometimes they want to bring a little bit of that home, but they get intimidated because, hey, I'm not a world-class chef putting together a 5-course menu. But beer and food pairing can be as simple as you'd like. And, one of my favorites when we're talking about the fall and you want to be cozy in Irish cuisine is just a toasty. A grilled cheese sandwich. Wow. Get a
that's as basic as it gets.
Yeah, get a bag of potato chips. And make a nice grilled cheese sandwich, add some tomato, add some onion, add whatever you'd like. That's always going to be a great pairing with our stouts because the toasted bread, bread, malt, like beer is basically just liquid bread. There's going to be a harmony there. And then with the fattiness of the cheese, you have something to kind of wash that back and cleanse the palate so you can go back in for some more. Smittix goes fantastic, and this is going to sound crazy, but if you want one of my favorite beer and food pairings, Smittix goes fantastic with barbecue potato chips. Get a pack of barbecue potato chips and have a pint of Smittix. It's a great pairing, and one of my favorite pairings for Guinness Draft, but especially Guinness Extra Stout, is a toasted fluffernutter sandwich. So peanut butter and fluff, it's on point. It's harmony after harmony after harmony, and anyone can make it at home. If you want to be naughty, add a little bit of Nutella. Get daring and add a little bit of Nutella.
You said extra stout?
Yeah, the extra stout, because the extra stout's a little bit more robust and has a little bit of a buttery note on the front end. And where Guinness Draft doesn't have as much of a caramel note, extra stout leans towards kind of that caramel and burnt sugar that goes really nice with the peanut butter and the marshmallow and the toasted bread. So Guinness Draft will hold up to it as well.
For anyone who's listening that's not a New England native, they have no idea what we're talking about.
That's true. We're really only working.
Is the fluff ambassador here? Can he come over and speak?
Yeah. For anyone who's listening that's not a New England native, when we talk fluffernutter, we're literally talking about a marshmallow spread.
Right. Exactly.
It's that and peanut butter. It's on 2 pieces of bread, and it's.
I believe invented in Somerville, Massachusetts.
Yes, I think you're right.
Not wrong. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. That's great stuff. Like I told you, Greg, every time it's an amazing adventure through Guinness and all the scientific facts when you're dealing with Mike.
I wish that I had a pen and a notebook because I would love to write this stuff down and
Oh, you could just
claim it
listen
as
to the podcast.
claim it as my own idea at a later date.
This is great. So we're going to probably see you again at the Worcester Festival. That's awesome. Are you going to be anywhere else for people to know about?
Oh man, what's my schedule going in?
I think Sunday River is way colder.
I'm trying to think if there's anything worth shouting out other than the typical stuff. I mean, I'll tell you what we're really working on this fall, because this is what we kind of do every year. Because before you know, it's going to be January, February, March, and I hate to say that, but that's the big show for Guinness, leading up to St. Patrick's Day. And we really want to make sure that as many establishments are pouring perfect pints of Guinness Draft as possible, always, but especially going into those winter months leading up to St. Patrick's Day. So this fall, what we're really narrowing in on, as always, is going to be Guinness quality. So I'll be in a lot of pubs doing staff trainings. I'm going to be talking about draft line cleaning, glassware management, and of course the perfect 2-part pour to make sure that the promise that we make to our consumers is that Dublin pint, that perfect pint of Guinness Draft with the beautiful dome and no bubbles in the cream. So we got to go out there and do that legwork and make sure all these pubs that are enthusiastic about the brand and enthusiastic about Guinness have the tools necessary to make that come true and just pour beautiful pints.
That's great.
You know where they do pour a beautiful pint, right? Tinker's Son.
Tinkers?
I cannot disagree with that.
One of the best around, and in fact, I was so impressed at the pint they were pulling over here at the outside bar. That's got to be a challenge.
Oh, in a plastic cup?
In a plastic cup, not a full pint glass.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So.
Tinkers has always cared about quality. Yep. They've always worked hard to make sure that they pour a beautiful pint. And it's fun when you go to these, because we've been doing a lot of Irish festivals. When you go to these festival environments, we use what's called jockey boxes, which are these portable draft systems, and they chill the beer through a coil that's covered in ice water.
I just
and
got
you
a
can
lesson
get
in
really
that right
nice
over here.
pints off of that.
Really, really nice.
Yeah. For anyone who wants to have an outdoor festival in their own backyard, look into jockey boxes.
Oh, there you go. I might use that for my own resources.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, you're just trying to get me in trouble at home.
Yeah, seriously. Well, thank you for being on, Mike.
Yeah,
this is great. We'll see you again in Worcester, and we'll definitely have you on again as usual.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure, and it's been great to see how successful you guys have been.
Thank you.
With the podcast, and I'm still a listener, so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's all we can ask for.
All right, well, good to see you. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, Mike.
So to end things off, I just want to say thanks to Mike Reardon, Guinness Ambassador, obviously Brian Houlihan, owner of Tinkers, Greg Shanahan, who not only filled in as co-host, but also was a guest on the show prior to Shaun Morgan being called off for a work engagement. Good day. Our first day recording on location for Craic on the Coast, and I think it was successful.
I think it was incredibly successful, and hats off to you, Mike, as usual. Both you and Shaun do an amazing job with this podcast, and just not only is it incredibly entertaining, but incredibly informative. I think we just saw that with the.
Oh my God!
Who could talk about Guinness more than Mike?
And sound so eloquent.
Exactly. But what a great setting today too. Thanks so much to Tinkers for having us out here with the dancing and the trad music and massive crowds, food truck, outside bar. I mean, I don't know what else you could ask for. We talked about it earlier on the podcast. I don't know what you could ask for more on a fall day.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, the weather, obviously, Brian puts on a first class, and that's what he aims for, obviously, from the conversation we had with him, and it shows in the quality of the event and what he's putting on.
The only thing more incredible than the quality is the consistency of the quality that he puts on. Not only here, across. I mean, you might have thought I was saying that because he was sitting here, but I'm saying it now. It's across all the restaurants, and it really just adds to, the experience here on the South Shore. I mean, to have so many restaurants doing the right thing.
Oh, he's an asset.
Yeah.
He's an asset to what we have for Irish culture and exposure on the South Shore here.
I was trying to think of a way to segue into just thanking him for all the times he hosts us for any number of events and groups down here, but every time it's never a letdown. So
we're
we're fortunate with a lot of great businesses around here.
We are. So what I would like to end this out with is our usual. If you want to support the show, the best thing you can do is like, subscribe, share it with a friend. If you want us to bring up a certain topic or a certain event that's coming down in the South Shore, or actually beyond the South Shore. At this point, we're South Shore, we're New England, and beyond even that. Reach out to us at our email, craiconthecoast@gmail.com. That's CRAIC on the coast@gmail.com. And thank you for tuning in. This is a great day. And from Craic on the Coast, we'll just say sláinte.
Sláinte.
Thank you.